Hello and welcome to my video on using music and sound on the Nintendo 3DS. In this video I will show you the library that I use for creating sounds and music and making it as easy as possible to play them back on the 3DS. Something which doesn't seem to be on DevKit Pro currently. So the library we'll be using will be the CWavLib library. There are a few things we're going to need for this. So first off, we'll need to download the libraries. Make sure you get the correct versions. I'll provide the links below and I'll show you which versions to get. And then we will need to unzip those, move the libcsound master into the libcwav provided folder. And we'll also need a CWavTool, which is a console program for converting WAV files into bcwav files, which are a stripped down WAV file with its data organized correctly for the 3DS to play back. I'll show you how to build that. Then what we'll do is we will add music and sound to the Coin Dash game from the last video. So as there are a few steps involved in this, what I'll do is I'll show you the links in Linux, and then what we'll do is I'll switch to my Windows virtual machine and then I'll build everything in the MySys window there so our Windows users know what's going on. It'll be exactly the same for Linux, except obviously you won't need MySys. And then I'll show you how to build the CWavTool. We'll then convert some music files. I'll then show off my SoundManager code to make playback as easy as possible. We'll quickly boot up the game again in the emulator, although unfortunately there's no sound in the emulator. I can't get sound working, so you will have to test things out on a real 3DS if you wish to hear the sounds. So let's get into it. So first off, you need to visit this site here by Pablo MK7. So interestingly, he's a co-developer of the Azar emulator. So thank you, Pablo Mark7, for your libcwav library. So all we're going to do is we will download the zip. So we need CWave there. Then if you carry on down here, it'll give you some info about how this all works. I'll allow you to go through that yourself. Now what we also need is, this library depends on the C-Sound library here. Okay, stop doing that. So open that in a new tab. So although I'm doing this in Linux, the reason why is because if I do this in my Windows emulator, it will start going through the wonderful Windows updates, and then this video will be taking me way longer than intended. So this is needed by the CWave library. And then last of all, we need the CWavTool, as this is used to convert WAV files into bcwav files. So again, download that as a zip. So by all means have a read of this. These just tell you how to sort of install it. So now we've got these, we now need to pass these to my Windows emulator. So let's close this window here. In fact, we'll keep one of them open. We'll keep this one here open. So now what I need to do here is navigate to where I downloaded that. And then I also have like a folder for sharing files with my virtual machines. So I've got a 3ds folder here, so what I want to do is copy these across into here. Now if I bring this one across here now. So here we are now in Windows 10. So if I refresh that, so we'll see here we have the zip files from the free GitHub pages. So I will extract those into the downloads folder. So if you download the CWave file and it looks like this, you've got the wrong version. I will obviously leave the links to the versions I used here to make things nice and easy. So we'll start off with the CWave library here. And then we'll extract C sound here. Now if you have a look in the, let's open that in a new window. If you have a look in here, you'll see there's a folder here called libc sound and it's empty. And that's because you need to go in here and copy all of this and paste it in here. So now what we need to do is, I recommend you copy this and then you navigate to where you've installed DevKit Pro and then just paste that in there, as we will be needing this in a moment. So now what you want to do is you want to go and open up MySys2. So you can either open it from the menu here, so all this is basically is it's just a mirror of the Linux environment. So now what we need to do is we need to navigate to the location of this folder here. So for me, I need to go into C drive and then DevKit Pro. So CD is for current directory, LS is for list. So as you can see here, this is basically a mirror of the Windows file structure here. Just need to put the slashes the other way around for a Linux style. So now what we need to do is we need to go to the libcwave folder. And then you'll see here we have our make file. And if you look in here and have a look at the README file there, so let's open that with Notepad. This tells you how to build it. So what we need to do is type make install now. In fact, are we in the right place? Okay, I found out what the problem was. It's because I already had them installed in the live portable libs folder here, so I did wonder whether that was the issue. So I'll get back to my Mises2 window here. So make install again. Oh, you're shitting me. Why is it doing this? Am I in the wrong one? Okay, let's get out of this a minute. Okay, that's what should happen there. Okay, so it's installing it somewhere. Let's have a look. So what should happen when you get this is you should get this libcwav folder here. And then in here you'll have the lib folder and the include folder. So what you need to do is copy those out of there. So if I open another window here, so I'll go to the 3ds folder here, then go into libcsound, which is what's been built. Copy those out and paste it in there. Then go into the libcwav folder here, and then copy and paste those in here as well. Now if you look in the include folder here, you'll see we have both the header files for these now. Now as recommended on the Brave page here, to use libcwav you need to copy the header file CWave.h and include it in all your projects that you wish to use it in. These other steps here are for linking the libraries separately in the make file there. As now I'm back in Windows, as we've put them into the portalibs folder here, this is where DevKit Pro looks for the downloaded libraries anyway. So by putting them in here, we don't need to add extra steps to find them. So now what I recommend you do is, oh yeah, if you go into libcwav now, in the main folder here, you'll see we have an example libcwav program here. So what you could do is go in there and then just to test that everything is working fine, so we'll come out of the libcwav folder we were in, go into libcwav main, list that, then go into the example, okay, is there, what am I doing? I'm spelling it wrong. It's underscore. Okay, now we're in there, list that, and if you call make, This should build the example there if everything's fine. There we go. So this example file here, if you copy that onto your 3DS or 2DS, then this will demonstrate the different play-in modes using the DSP and the C sound players. So now that we have these working fine on Windows, so if you have everything all set up properly with your paths, hopefully you've got to this stage here. What this means now is you can go back to the so you might want to copy this one out of this folder here to have a look at the source code, see how it works. Now what I'll do here is, because I've copied the files into the portlibs folder, I don't need this folder anymore, and I don't lib C sound as well. So what happened was, in here, and we called make install, it built libc sound and passed it up into the devkit pro folder. Same with libcwav. So we could delete this folder here from here. So this is the library built now. So now exit your MySys2 window. So if you were on Linux or Mac, then obviously everything's exactly the same as what I was doing there, except you'll be using your bash or terminal window, not MySys2, and it will all sort of be the same like that. So now what we need to do is we need to come back to our downloads folder here. So now we need the CWavTool. Now this one here, we don't need to build this in MySys. So what I recommend you do here is we'll literally be taking all of this out of here. So if you just, so in our instance here, we'll be creating a new code blocks program. As we basically need to build this ourselves for whichever platform you're on. There are some issues with the code which you will need to resolve, which is why I'm doing this. So create a new project, empty project, or just call it empty project. And then just call it CWavTool. So I've already created a folder called, in fact we want to put it in here actually. So CWavTool is a name, and it will create a folder for us here. We're using GCC. So there we go, there's our empty project there. So now what you want to do is navigate to where you've just set that up, and then go into the source code here and just copy all of this out of there and drop it in there. Then come back to your project and then add files recursively, and then select OK. And then we will have some issues in a minute here, which is why I'm I'm showing you this. So now build that. And then you'll see here it complains about major minor version missing. Now to fix this, just go to command.h and then we'll just define these. And save that and then rebuild it. Okay, I've obviously okay, I don't recall this needing this one before. So let's double check in my Linux version a minute to make sure we are not. Okay, where are we? Okay, this is what I put for these. I don't know if it makes a difference here, so let's go back into Windows here. Now we've defined all of these macros, it should build. Okay, so that's built fine. One thing you might want to do is let's go into our compiler here a moment. So we're using GCC. Let's make sure. Yeah, we make sure we got static link in here. So hopefully you're not using any Visual Studio garbage. Otherwise, if you try and port this onto a future version of Windows, you'll end up with issues. So that's that built there. So now come out of that. So now let's convert some sound files. So these are the sounds we'll be using in our game here. So to use these, if you come to the binary folder here to release, so here's our CWavTool here. If I come up out of there a minute, I've created a how to use quick guide there. So just do exactly the same as that basically on Linux or Mac, and then you'll have your executable file equivalent. So to use this, we just need to copy what we the sounds that we need into the same location as the tool. So I'll quickly play these for you. In fact, I'm not sure what I have to play these on Windows actually. Okay, let's play these on Linux. I don't know what I've got set up on Windows there, so if I come back to just increase the volume a minute so you can hear it. So we got Chaos Emerald like sound, and then we've got the Sonic Game Over sound. Sure you all know what that sounds like. And then a soundtrack here which someone created. It's like a reimagined version of just to give the game some feel to it. So we've got our sound effects here, so now what we need to do is we need to build them in console. So we need to navigate to our CWavTool folder, and then if we open that up in Notepad, so if you want to have a look at the help file there, just type in CWave help. So and then it gives you the arguments you need to pass. So all we need to pass is CWavTool and then tac I for the input file name, so ring 1 wave, and then tac O for the output. Now what I usually do is I usually put info about what file format it is. So if you look on the Brave page here, you'll see we have PCM 816, DSA PCM and IMA AD PCM as the options, and then it says which one you should use depending on the sound player. Let's get back to Windows here. So what we'll do is we'll convert this into a PCM 8. So we'll just go for ring 1, and then bring in bcwav on the end there, and then tac E. We then say which format we want to convert, so we'll go for PCM 8, and there you go. This is now a sound file we can use. So I'll now do this for the rest of them now. So do the above, and then we'll change and we'll just convert them all to PCM 8. I won't bother going through all of it here. All I'll do is I'll just copy across what I've already converted before. Let's find the I'll put them all in here. No. So I've already done all that. So what you will need to do, get the source code for, this is the source code for CoinDash from the previous version here. So what we need to do is we need to put all of our built sound files into the ROM-FS folder here, which you will need to create. And then what this is it's a virtual ROM file system. So these are all the names of our sound files here. You see there's a few variations there, but they're either PCM 8 or PCM 16. So now we'll get to the interesting part now. So if you are converting over from the standard CoinDash to the one with sound, then what you'll need to do is you'll need to update your make file. So if I open, in fact I'll just open this up in code blocks moment anyway. So now some additional stuff that you'll need when using the Csound and CWave files. You need to include these two under your libs part, and then they'll be automatically included. Obviously I'll provide the CoinDash code with the sound anyway, so you'll be able to use that as kind of like a template for all your sort of programs there, which will automatically have these in. And then right, what I'll need to do now is I'll need to go over and explain how to use the new SoundManager code here. So one thing to also make sure as well is that you include the CWave header file as well. Whenever you're creating a program using the CWave library, go to the portalibs folder and then just copy that header file into your source code. Just add it to your project. So I don't think I've got all of those sounds, so let's have a look. Which one are we missing? I think let's add another. I'll add another sound. So we don't need this folder open anymore. So I don't think I converted the teleport program. Sound, sorry. So we'll do that one now. There we go, there's the teleport one there. So what we'll do is we'll add this sound. So add the input sound and then the output. So now we will exit that one there. So go to your CWave folder in the binary file there under release. Here's our teleport sound. So we'll copy that one and bung it into our file system here. As you can see, it wasn't there previously. So to use sounds, you need to we need an array of available sounds, and then we also have an enumeration here for music and one for sound effects. So you'll see here we have our ring, and then we've got a KS Emerald sound, we've got a player def sound, game over I've added as like a music track, and then we'll add the teleport one onto this as well. So now we have all of our sounds there. We now need to create an array of file names, as we have to load these in. All those files are kind of arranged in the memory somewhere, as if it was like a proper file. So we have like two parts here. Whenever you add a sound effect, we also need to add how many times that sound should be played simultaneously. So to add our teleport sound, everything has rom fs colon and then a slash, and then we type in the name of the file as it appeared. So I think it's that one there. double check that. So you need to make sure that you've got the name spelt right, otherwise we'll get a bug when we try to play it on the actual 3DS, sorry. Okay, so we have an array there which should match the enumerations there. And then we also have another array of how many times that sound should be played simultaneously. And we have another string array for our music files. And then this is like an internal private function here for loading the music. It's just using the enumerations here. We load the music into CWave structures. And then there's another one for loading sound effects as well. They're kind of pretty much the same. So to use the code here, you just need to make sure that you include the SoundManager. In your main. I'll go over that in a moment here. So if you were to look through the example code provided for the C sound or the CWave example, you'll see that the loading stuff here is pretty much the same. And then we initialize the ROM file system in the sound init function here. We're using the C sound library. And then we kind of load all music and sound effects at the same time. You could, if you probably had a load of files, it would probably make sense just to load one music file and play that. And then always make sure that you call the sound quit function as well, as all of these files here are created with a malloc and linear alloc for assigning dynamic memory to our sound files. So you need to make sure that they are freed using linear free when you quit your app. And then we just have some easy functions here. So you see we have play song and stop song. Fairly straightforward. You just pass through the enumeration of the song there, and then it looks for the relevant file in our list here. So we have a static array of sound effects and a static array of music files. So these arrays go off of the sizes you put in here in your enumerations. So it always fits exactly to what you're using or what it expects you to be using. And then we just use the CWave play function here. And then if you look in the header file here, this will give you some quick info on what to pass to the various functions, what values they kind of expect, and why I've put the numbers that I have here. So you see we've got like different things are expected for stereo and mono sounds. And then we have another function here which says, is the song playing? So for example, none of the music is actually looped, so it's kind of up to you to handle that. And then you'll see we've also got a float that you pass when you play a sound effect. So this is quite good. So if you vary the number you pass in here, so a value of 1 will be play at its standard pitch, but then if you pass less than that or more than that, then you can alter the frequency that it kind of plays at. So you can reuse one sound effect over and over by just altering the pitch slightly to give it a feel of variation. This shouldn't really sort of be here, but never mind it. Don't really worry about the super song update stuff here. This is from a previous sort of project. The main ones you'll use will be just play song, play sound effect. And probably just get rid of these. So that pretty much covers the I don't want to save any of that. So that covers the C sound stuff here. So in the sources main, to actually use that, you'll need to include the SoundManager, and then at the start just call sound init. Let's zoom in a bit. Button's a bit thin. And then at the end, before your app quits, just call sound quit. Now to sort of play any of these sound effects or music. So for example, in the title screen here, I've added a sound stop and then sound play. Which is, by putting these like this, it makes it easier to kind of just pass enumeration, and then the sound library itself just handles all of that. So the music isn't looping. Oh, yes, it is here. So this is how you loop the music here. So you just check if the song's playing, and if it's not, just play it again. So what we could do here is when you press start to play, we will play the sound effect, teleport, and then we'll pass in a value of 1. Of course, what you could do is you could have float, and then you could just do random like 25 or something, and then times it by 0.1 or something. And just add that to that. And then once you've built that, obviously you make sure you test it in an emulator first. So if you've got any sort of errors where you've not spelt the name of a song right or something, that you can catch it there first before you test it on your 3DS or 2DS, which is what you'll have to do. This program will literally just look the same as a normal coin dash. So the only sort of differences to this to the previous game is just where I put in play sound effects. And then there's also the playing of music. Let's double check. Yep, there we go. Check if the song's playing. If it's not, then we play it. The only additional thing we've got here is for the player dying. So we could also add another. In fact, I'm not sure if I've already put that Chaos Emerald sound in or not. For level clear. Yes, I have. Okay, I don't need to put that in there then. So the only differences in here now is just where I've put in some different play sound effects at key sort of places. There's another one here for if you die there, and then for game over. Let's have a look. Player died. Yeah, there we go. We stop the current playing song and then we play our game over song. So that's pretty much all I wanted to go over in this video. Obviously, have a look at my code for the SoundManager. Have a look at the example code for the CWavLib example, just so you can see what's actually going on. And hopefully this will now enable you to bring your programs to life with sound. So all what remains left to do now is to just make sure that that actually runs in an emulator before you sort of test it on so we've got our new file here, so let's copy that back into here. There we go, there's our coin dash. Let's rename that. So if we go back to Linux now, so if I navigate to my shared libraries here, so there we go, there's our coin dash sounds game. So the reason why I've gone back to Linux for this is I only have an emulator installed on Linux. Unfortunately, VirtualBox seems to have got worse over time, so trying to do any run anything that requires any sort of demand in graphics just is garbage these days, like, so that's why I'm not sort of putting an emulator on the Windows project there. So if I come down to my, nope, not that one, there we go. There we go. So this is why you build it in here first. So I've obviously spelt the name wrong of one of the files, so it's not been able to load. You won't be able to hear anything in the emulator, but we can at least catch any loading errors. So we'll boot that up again. And then we need to make sure we've got the sound names correct. So come up to the top of the array, and then let's side by side So let's have a look. There we go. Look, PC16. No, PCM16. I'm missing. I didn't add the teleport stuff in here. I didn't save the file. Okay, let's rebuild that again. I was about to end the video there. The thing is, in these videos, the errors are almost as important as the actual code in itself. So you can at least see that I'm not immaculate building code, and that we all have these errors. Okay, so let's paste that in there again. And then we'll load this again. Okay, why is it saying it can't find that one then? It's because it's loading the same thing in again. Didn't rename it to CoinDash there. There we go. So this is what we're going to get. You should, if it comes to this here, then you should be fine. Obviously, I can't get any sound. So now we come to the end of the video there. So what you'll need to do is, unfortunately, when it comes to sound and music, is you'll have to keep copying them onto your SD card and then putting them onto your actual 3DS to get a feel for how things sound on the real thing. So that concludes this video here. I will leave a link to the source code here. So obviously if you're using this on Linux, you'll need to kind of create like an empty project and then copy all this code in, as I kind of did with the CWavTool code. And then if I'm doing the video in Linux, then the source code, you'll need to kind of copy everything out into a new sort of project for Windows. So that concludes this video. Hopefully you will now be able to have sound and music. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Well, the next video for the 3DS will be introducing 3D. So I will catch you then.